Hello again. For almost 1500 years now, Islam has had its eyes on the conquest and occupation of Europe, which many Muslims regard as a stronghold of the kuffar, the unbelievers. The first assault on Europe was a military one, an expedition launched from North Africa across the Straits of Gibraltar and into Spain. This began in 710 AD and ended with the occupation of Spain and Portugal. The Muslim armies then crossed the Pyrenees into France, but were defeated at the Battle of Poitiers in 732 and driven back into the Iberian Peninsula. They maintained their hold there for centuries. The Caliphate, the main source of religious power in Islam, moved to Turkey, and in 1529 the Ottomans, the name for the Turkish dynasty, attacked Europe from the east and reached the gates of Vienna before being defeated. The Turks managed to occupy a lot of Eastern Europe and convert it to Islam, places such as what is now Bulgaria, Albania and Bosnia, for instance. There was another attempt to conquer Europe in 1683, but that too failed. By that time, the ambition of Muslims to conquer and occupy Europe had lasted for 1,000 years. It didn't end with the retreat from Vienna because wars were still taking place in the Mediterranean between the forces of Christian nations and those of the Ottomans. These skirmishes were mostly fought at sea. At the same time, the Ottomans sponsored privateers, corsairs and pirates to conduct raids on Western Europe by means of landing and capturing slaves. Ships belonging to Britain, Italy, France, Spain and the Netherlands were also captured and the crew taken prisoner and sold into slavery in North Africa and to Turkey. The result was to cause enormous damage to European trade and make the inhabitants of coastal areas live in fear. These raids took place in England, Ireland, even as far away as Iceland. The Ottomans called them the Marine Jihad, because they saw it as being all of a piece with their ambition to take over Europe. The shipload of young men from Africa and Asia who were now landing in Europe after setting sail from North Africa might perhaps be thought of as Marine Jihad too. They are operating from the same countries from which the corsairs of the first Marine Jihad set sail, and their purpose is probably very similar, which is to say the domination of Europe by Islam rather than Christianity. The numbers of people being landed on the shores of Europe are not numerically large when viewed in the perspective of the population of Europe, but they are certainly acting as a destabilising influence, chipping away at European confidence and harming European culture. We're already seeing the changes wrought by this process in this country. For example, the fact that nearly all schools in Britain serve only halal food in order to avoid upsetting Muslims. Every time we visit a hospital chapel and find that it is now divided into two sections, one for men and one for women, and that there are signs asking people to remove their shoes. Islam is in the ascendant and Christianity declining. These are manifestations of the Marine Jihad. There are many others. The men crossing the English Channel, there were 77 yesterday and 262 the day before that, are also part of this same thing. The Marine Jihad is very real, and ultimately it will, if left unchecked, succeed where outright military assaults have over the centuries failed.